If he was honestly trying to provide information, was he right or wrong? The FCC has proposed another fine, this time the highest fine possible. The record fine, the record-setting fine, the highest dollar amount possible, the FCC has proposed against an amateur radio operator for interfering with fire suppression communications. During a fire, this guy tried to cause interference to amateur radio communications. Look at this. A while back, I did a video about a proposal of a fine for a guy interfering with a net. Bad enough, and I'll put that video right there. I can't see my screen. The screen's backwards to me. I'll put that video right there, so go check that out. That was a $24,000 fine. Today's fine is a $34,000 fine. A proposed $34,000 fine. Now, this article is actually from last year in July. So I don't know. I did a quick search. I didn't do a deep dive search. I did a quick search to find out if there was an update to this proposed fine. Couldn't find it. So anybody who has information on that, put that below. I'd like to know how this turned out. I found this article here on incompliancemagazine.com and also on the ARRL website, but no follow-ups to it yet. The FCC has proposed a record fine against an amateur radio operator for interfering with radio communications supporting fire suppression efforts in a 2021 massive wildfire in Idaho National Forest. Okay, you gotta be a pretty sad individual to key up music during a net. During a daily net, during just a regular check-in, how you doing net, you gotta be pretty bored. You gotta be pretty bored and have absolutely nothing to do with your time at all to do that. But to interfere with an actual emergency communications, wow. You know what? I shouldn't say what just popped in my head because it could be construed as violence against someone. I don't call for violence against anybody, okay? But if you see this guy on the street, I would just say, boo! So, you know, one of those things. All right. According to a notice of apparent liability, NAL, for forfeiture, Jason M. Frawley. It saddens me to know that somebody with the name Jason would cause this kind of interference. Jason M. Frawley of Lewiston, Idaho, used his amateur handheld radio to intentionally interfere with radio communications, directing fire suppression aircraft that were combating the Johnson Fire, a 1,000-acre wildfire in Elk River, Idaho. Frawley allegedly transmitted multiple times over 2 separate days on frequencies expressly allocated and authorized for government use, causing harmful interference with essential emergency communications. The FCC has proposed a monetary forfeiture of $34,000, the maximum fine allowable in such cases. Frawley will be given an opportunity to respond in FCC's NAL before the final commission action is determined. But there's no follow-up link from this article. So it sounds to me like I read that like he's using his ham radio to interfere with government commercial frequencies. He's not even on amateur radio frequencies. He's on commercial frequencies, government frequencies, interfering with... What the heck, man? What is wrong with you? Serious question. Serious question here, okay? I say this from the bottom of my heart. What the heck is wrong with you freaking idiots? I really want to know. What is wrong with you people? You want to interfere with a rescue operation? If you're one of these idiot hams who hates MCOM for whatever reason, you're not interfering with ham radio. He's on a freaking government commercial frequency. So why? Why? Why would you do that? I don't get it. I really don't. I really don't get it. This video is sponsored by Mezzi and Plomi Coax. Mezzi, Plomi, and Coax from Italy makes some of the best coax and feed line for amateur radio in multiple applications today. They're working on some new POTA coax that's brightly colored to put out in a field that people will still probably walk over anyway. But I have outfitted my entire shack and my entire mobile radio station with Mezzi and Plomi coax. The mobile radio station is not done yet. You guys have seen videos on that. So I highly recommend going to gigaparts.com and clicking on the link below, using my discount code of KC5HWB to save a 5% discount on all Mezzi and Plomi coax products, including their feed line, their connectors, their tools, their nifty little scissors that they have, and everything else that they have. Thank you, Mezzi and Plomi, for supporting this channel. There's a few more details on this on this ARRL article over here. Again, this was from last year, 2022. Frawley holds an extra class amateur radio licensee, Whiskey Alpha 7 CQ. That's a pretty cool call sign. You want to do this kind of crap? The FCC alleged that in the NAL that on July 17th of 2021, using his amateur handheld, Frawley transmitted 5 times, and on July 28th July 18th, the next day, transmitted 3 times on frequencies allocated and authorized for government use, apparently causing harmful interference with his apparently unlawful translation. Apparently. They alleged he apparently keyed up 8 times in 2 days. Okay. All right. I don't know, man. So this article goes on to say, the NAL includes details of the Forest Service's complaint and the FCC's investigation. He argued that he was not trying to cause interference, but instead was transmitting to provide information to the firefighters. Okay. Here's a quote from Mr. Frawley. At no time was I trying to disturb any other communications on air traffic. I was honestly giving them information I had since I had been working on the Butte since the early 90s, wrote Frawley in his October 2021 response to a letter of inquiry from the FCC. The FCC, however, concluded that Frawley's admitted unauthorized transmissions on frequencies for which he did not have a license had the potential to cause substantial harm to life and property. The FCC held that Frawley, by his own admission, apparently willfully and repeatedly violated the Commission's rules where he made 8 separate radio transmissions on a frequency for which he did not have a license. Again, not on ham radio frequencies. The FCC stated that unauthorized transmissions on frequencies licensed to public safety entities using those frequencies to respond to emergencies also constitutes a violation of Section 333 of the Communications Act 1934 as amended. FCC Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel added, "You can't interfere with public safety communications, full stop, so today we propose the largest fine of its type for this interference that put fire suppression and public safety at risk." Here's a news release from the FCC. Let's take this guy. I don't know this guy. Mr. Frawley, Whiskey Alpha 6, Charlie Quebec. I don't know him. If he was honestly trying to provide information, was he right or wrong? Regardless of what the FCC might say. If he was honestly trying to provide help to the firefighters and information to the firefighters, was he wrong, yes or no? By the letter of the law, I would say that yes, he is wrong because he's transmitting on frequencies for which he's not authorized. Now, some people are going to come along in this video and comment that, oh, well, in an emergency, you can use any form of communication that you want. True, you can, but an emergency defined by the FCC in terms of licensing requirements means an immediate threat to your person or property. Mr. Frawley, according to the information we have from these 2 articles, his personal safety was not in question. He was trying to help firefighters fight a fire. So by the letter of the law, he was wrong. He didn't have rights to transmit on those frequencies, and he was not personally and immediately in danger of his personal property from some sort of threat. But are we going to be such a society that we try to find people for helping? I mean, if he was truly intentionally trying to help, I don't know. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. I think I have mixed emotions on it. I think if it were me in that situation, I might have keyed up. It depends on what the subject matter of the radio transmission was. If he could hear the firefighters talking and they were proposing questions or talking about something that was wrong or saying they were looking for something or they didn't know something or they were without this piece of information that he had at the time and he keyed up to give them that piece of information, I might have done that. Now that I've read this article, I probably won't. But I might have done that. I mean, I said, hey, guys, I can see what you're talking about, and it's XYZ. Or I can answer that question for you. Here's the answer. Doesn't change the fact that on paper, he was not licensed on those frequencies. But I want to know what you think. I want to know what you think about this article. This article is almost a year old. So, and again, if anyone has any follow-ups on it, I'd like to see a follow-up article on it. So put a comment below. 73.